I'm glad you because you circle me back to what I wanted to ask you before. With Donald Trump, there is this perception that he is somehow, and this goes to that group that you said are kind of lean towards anarchy and would rather see the entire thing burned down. They believe that Donald Trump
Right,
represents like the system is broken, so let's punish the system by allowing someone like Donald Trump to get in. You alluded
right,
to the people who are surrounding him now, Mike Pence, Speaker Ryan, Mitch
yep,
McConnell. He's
yep.
surrounded by
And then don't forget the Koch brothers, right? The Koch brothers are there funding this stuff too.
absolutely. So he is supported by the establishment now as much as he was anti-establishment during the primaries. Why
Right.
would help me make this argument or whatever you want to do with it. But why would anyone believe that Donald Trump would go against the Republican establishment once he gets power? Because so many reasons, to me, they are a useful muse to him to do the things that, one, he's probably not smart enough to do, two, doesn't
Right.
feel like doing, and so he has this
Right.
infrastructure that's going to service his needs. So why would
Right.
people think he's going to burn the system down when he is demonstrating that he actually needs the system?
Well, hey, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, like I mentioned, the mental illness thing, before, and the wishful thinking thing before.
Yeah.
Well, and look, like the other thing I would just add, right? I mean, this is really just to underscore the point that you made. He's a billionaire, for God's sake. He's a billionaire who who has embraced and displays all of the worst class commitments of his class. I don't understand how anybody who imagines himself or herself to be, left of, I don't know, Bilbo, right?
Hmm.
Well, because Bilbo wouldn't even have gone for that, frankly. Could overlook that fact. I mean, no, there's no reason to believe that Trump would 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 bolt from the interest of his class. He wants to be a strong man. Some of them want a strong man,
Right.
right? Um, and and the social base of his. I know people keep the well, there's an element, I guess, that just keeps that frankly crosses kind of left and right.
Hmm.
That that keeps castigating Trump's base as white workers, right? Fearful white working class. There's no shortage of white workers who are voting for him, but study after study shows that his core base and core activist base are people who make more than $20,000 more than a median income. They're people who are comparatively well off but feel threatened and endangered. That from above and from below. That is a social stratum that's given us every fascist and authoritarian movement in the history of the last 150 years,
Hmm.
right? And I mean that's what that base is. And this notion, a good friend of mine used to say. I mean, a recently retired trade union leader used to say, that in my experience, all I've ever seen a little bit of fascism produce is a lot of fascism.
Hmm.
So there's that. I mean, I remember when the first election that I would have been, or that I was old enough to vote in, but didn't. In 1968, I remember people talking about voting for George Wallace to sharpen the contradictions, to put the system, to crash the system, basically. But that's just not the way politics works. And that goes back to the other quote from the Common Dreams essay. Ernst Thälmann, the chairman of the German Communist Party, said in the early 30s, after Hitler won, or when he was on the verge of winning, after Hitler, our turn. And what he meant by that was that, okay, once the Nazis were in power, they would expose themselves for not having a program and not having anything substantive to offer the working class. Problem is that what Tillman didn't take into account was their adeptness at concentrating power taking control over all of the institutions within the society in a short period of time, and suppressing all of their actual or potential enemies. So Tailman died in a concentration camp in 1944. I mean, Trump is a buffoon, right? And he's a megalomaniac, and he's a lying string of alliterations that I can't say here. But we shouldn't let ourselves be lulled to sleep by that, right? I mean, this is a very dangerous political tendency. And I mean, so this is kind of like a cheap shot that probably shouldn't even make it. It's almost close to being a Mau. But only people who are relatively well fed and well taken care of will be willing to take that chance, knowing what the options are.
Let's do a. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll say one more thing about that, right? I mean, just for another little bit of perspective. I mean, I grew up in the post-war period and in a household that was at least partly overlapping left circles at the time. Mm-hmm. So I grew up as a kid very much conscious of the McCarthy movement and the House Un-American Activities Committee and all that stuff. And you know, I'm not alone, right? I mean, obviously, I mean, there are a lot of people like me, but it does make you conscious, and then also, you know, strains of demagogues like in the Jim Crow South, right? Mm-hmm. And scapegoating politics is scapegoating politics is scapegoating politics, and it always moves from one target to the next until almost everybody's a target.